Good afternoon, everybody. Actually, it's still good morning. It's about 10:30 Central Standard Time, Friday, March the 16th, and we're going to talk about Litecoin. I apologize, my energy is a little bit low. I think I only slept like 4 hours last night. I was just kind of like chatting on my phone all night. Yeah, let's talk about Litecoin. Still number 5. Market cap hasn't really changed too much. It's up about 5.38% right now overall. Historical data. Volume is slowly declining still, guys. We had that small run up to recover from that major downtrend, and then we ended up getting, the days before that, we were averaging between 468 to 480 million. Then we got a 564 million. Now we're way back down right now to 438 million for the 24-hour average. We're up about 5% or 4.82% overall. But you know what? I mentioned in my previous tweets and in my previous videos that at 570, maybe I'll adopt a slightly bullish count, but far from there in my opinion still. I think that because Bitcoin is pretty much peaking right now, if we take a look at Bitcoin just peaking right where we're kind of expecting it to, where the trendline resistance is, right? It's really hard to imagine like that it's going to end up peaking even higher than that. We are at the trendline resistance. The volume, sure, it's spiked up one more for its final wave there, but other than that, like it's really hard to believe that it's gonna end up breaking that, right? So because I don't think it's gonna break that, that's exactly where I anticipated the $570 resistance here. Let me just draw it out for you guys in case you missed it. All right, so here's that $570 resistance that I mentioned. So we gotta wonder, right, what's really going on right here? Well, easy. Let's take a look at our Fibonacci retracement tool, and what we see is it's retracing to a very normal amount between the 786 region and the 618 Fibonacci region as well over here. So now going deeper, let's go take a look at the daily and let's talk about where it finished off last night. So I'm going to try to keep these TA a little bit shorter for today and tomorrow, just simply because it's the weekend and I kind of like to unwind, watch a movie or two, etc. So yesterday we finished off with a fairly decent hammer candle right there, which was fairly expected in my opinion of everything that's going on. We're not getting any series of bullish divergence yet. A bullish divergence would look something like that, right? Where we go, we get a high, then we get a lower, we get a low, then we get a higher high, then we get a higher low as well. And it just keeps going upwards like that, right? Where we're getting a series of higher highs and higher lows. But because we haven't really reached anything like that yet, it's very difficult to believe that we're on an uptrend. If we look at the volume for the 24-hour, we're only about 6-7 hours away from the close, and the volume seems like it's about half of yesterday altogether, right? On bitfinex at least. MACD looks like it wants to cross over soon, but not until it rounds off like that in my opinion. We look at the 12-hour chart as well. We get a decent candle right here with 8 hours to go, but we got to make note of this decline in volume. Volume needs to be sustained. Peter Brandt, he's a guy that has like 200,000 followers. He's the older gentleman. He mentioned that because there's so much liquidity and volume right now, it might imply that the demand is low, because we would actually end up going much higher. If the demand was higher, the liquidity would actually be lower as well. Despite us getting a series of bullish divergence where it looks like it, we have to make note that this is a trend line resistance that we look like we're about to hit, right? And then we just draw something like that and we see it isolate to a triangle. Looks like it wants to cross over, but excuse me there, a lot of the times it just ends up peaking right around here, and then it makes one more round possibly down, right? So now we're right at that resistance that I was mentioning in my Twitter as well. So let's keep looking. We get a little bit of a tick upwards here, but will this tick be very slight? A lot of the times that ends up happening as well. Let's go to a 3-hour chart here, okay? It looks like it's bullishly diverging, but we're almost at the 55 EMA right now. And the 55 EMA can easily signal to the market that, hey, you know what? We're going to end up rejecting it around where it is right now. Let's go to a 1-hour chart. right? We see it round off very slowly here. There's a good chance that it's going to end up doing something like that with a very slight crossover. Here, we already started to get a rejection candle with the shooting star, right? So with this shooting star candle right there, it was almost indicative as well that it seems like we're losing steam in the market. We have to remember that sometimes it does cross over to the 55 EMA, but this is pretty typical in my opinion, where we're getting to the 786 region. If we just follow these basic Fibonacci rules of ours, the rules of indifference of expression here, we can note that if wave 2 actually retraces only slightly, then wave 4 will retrace much more heavy, right? Something like that. So if we take a look at how wave 2 is actually retracing on this downtrend right here, okay, which I'll draw out for you guys. If this were our actual retracement right here, where this is only retracing not even to the barely above the 236 and barely not even touching the 382, then we can easily assume by these rules of Fibonacci and Elliott wave that this wave was going to get much higher, and that's pretty much what it ended up doing right here. So we have to always keep these rules in mind as well. So 170 seemed to act as a fairly hard resistance, right? We see Bitcoin shoot up to about 8,600, but it got rejected almost instantly. Now, another indicative factor of Bitcoin being rejected is that 1 hour candle that formed, right? Pretty much the exact same 1 hour candle form that started to show with these large wicks on Bitcoin that the bulls were slightly starting to lose control. Unless we can get some massive volume going upwards, it's very, very difficult to assume, guys, that we're going to be on an uptrend right now. So I unfortunately have to keep my bear bias for Litecoin as well because of what Bitcoin is doing. If we look on a 15-minute chart, we see the final 5 waves start to form right here for the C wave, pretty much, something like that. Okay, we'll call it like that. And you know, it's hard to argue that this is 5 waves. So regardless of excuse me, if the uptrend actually began or not, we're at least going to see a decent retracement of this whole Elliott wave structure to at least 166 to 163. So always keep that in mind, that when 5 waves form for the impulse upwards, then there's a good chance that we're going to end up losing steam. So if you guys notice here, we're getting a series of a higher high, higher high, higher high, right? Right around here. Higher high, higher high, higher high. But what do you guys notice about the steam in terms of the volume, or not the volume, but the sorry, I'm saying completely wrong words. I think I'm a little bit too tired. We see bullish or bearish divergence, right? Wow, I'm getting every word mixed up right now. We see bearish divergence on the RSI right here. It just simply cannot get a higher RSI. So because of this, I'm led to believe that, yeah, sure, we might end up ticking to 172 or something. But other than that, it's almost clear signs to me that this looks like it's going to end up going down eventually. Let's just keep looking at all the different signs, right? And I'm going to keep this very short, like I mentioned earlier as well, that if we notice here, if we counted our Elliott wave structure, right? If we counted our Elliott wave structure, this is a possible 1, 2, 3, 4, and pretty much 5, like that. Originally, I thought that we had finished the correction already, and that we made some sort of A, B, and C structure like that. But clearly, we were not even done it, right? Not even close to finishing it. Before, I originally thought that this could have been a very possible count where we get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but clearly that's not really the case right now. It's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, and a possible 5th wave touch somewhere down over there. This seems to make a lot more sense to me, where we get 5 subwaves coming downwards just like that. 1, 2, 3, perhaps 4, and a 5th wave, something like that down over here, right? Which seems to make a lot more sense to me. So we've always got to question where these Elliott wave structures are heading, and the way it looks like to me is we're hitting our 78.6 to between 0.618 Fibonacci range, and because we're hitting these specific ranges here, where there's a massive resistance right around here, it's hard to believe that we're going to go up further. So if we break about 178, right, like I mentioned, if we break this structure right here, then my entire count is wrong at the 178 level. So make sure that we remember this right here. If we break 178, bullish view is on, and my count is wrong. So make sure that we remember this as well, all right? This is my bullish count if we actually end up breaking above 178. Now my bearish view is on if we break roughly the 178 region right here, okay? If we break this region right here, bearish count is full on. If we break 157, bearish count is 100% on. It's fully engaged. So the reason why I consider this point very relevant is because that's where the recent swing low positions are. This is where support was, right? And right here, we're hitting resistance. We hit resistance at 170 right here. Why is it a resistance once again? It's a resistance because these areas right here. Now, we never know, like we could break it by slightly, right? But it almost seems unlikely, in my opinion, that we're gonna break above it. We see Bitcoin trending down by more than $70 already after hitting that peak over there, right? So it's so hard for me, guys. It's not that I want to be a bear or anything. It's just, it's how can we assume that there's an uptrend right now if there's just really no major signs of an uptrend with the volume declining like that heavily, and the bulls just simply cannot support where we're heading right now, right? Now we, if we end up downtrending, a possible support region is I mentioned in my previous video that is between 136 to 145. That's like a lower tier support region, right? 136 to roughly 145 about. This is the lower support region right here. Is it possible for a double bounce or a double bottom? Maybe, right? Lower region is between 136 to 145. Another, obviously, a support zone is going to be possibly between like 140-ish as well, right? Like right here where we end up getting a low last time, or sorry, 150 to 152 around here. Upper support region. Support region is 150 to 153 range, still right over here. Now, what's the reasoning for this support right here? Okay, you're taking your 168 fib region just right down over here, right? So that's how I'm kind of gauging it. We're seeing our fib extension of waves 1 and 2 for about 168. So yeah, this is a possible support region right here, which I'll make smaller. It's a little bit big to read. So there you go. Right around here. So yeah, the 161.8 fib extension of waves 1 and 2, and the 0.678 Fibonacci of the entire structure as well. Okay, so we have to remember this as well, that this is lower support region near the 0.786 fib level right around here. So this is how I'm kind of gauging it right over here. This is the upper support region right there. Does that make sense, guys? I hope it does, okay? So now this is the entire waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and just 5 going up there right now. Waves 1 to 5. So this is kind of how I'm seeing it right now. I'm really hoping that we bounce off of the upper support region. That would be obviously ideal, right? But as we see right now, there's major struggles for it to go above the 170 region. And because of these major struggles right now, I've got no choice but to assume that we are very bearish still. And that one more wave will most likely end up correcting downwards, just like that, where we get 1, 2, right, 3, 4 here, or we end up just downtrending to over here, which I will make in a red one for you guys as well, just to make it very clear that it's possible for us to trend down to these regions as well, all right? So please keep that in mind, right? That we could end up getting something around here, right? Right around here, the upper support region between 150 to 153. And if we end up not supporting there, then we'll clearly get to the 136 to the 145 region, which is kind of based on the 786 Fibonacci level. Now, a bullish view, one more time, is if we break above 178, okay? If we break above 178, that's the bullish view is on. 178 invalidates bearish view. So, just wanted to be very clear that we're all on the same page right here, okay? So that's it. That's all I have for you guys. I will be sure to update you a lot more in the afternoon. I appreciate all the support and love that you guys have given me. I'd also appreciate a quick upvote on steemit there if you guys find that the material has helped you. And if you guys have killed it in the market and you guys want to buy me a lunch or something, that's all you guys ever need to do to make me feel good sometimes, honestly. Don't ever donate like $100. That's just ridiculous, guys. If you guys ever do donate anything, honestly, just keep it to like $5, $10 at most, okay? Because you guys know me better than that by now. I don't ask for anything. Like, that's absurd like that, nor do I need the help, right? It's just more so sometimes people like it when you buy them a lunch or a coffee. That's it. So have yourselves a great day, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Bye now.